Welcome to Between State Lines.
Welcome back to Between State Lines, episode 16. And before we get started today, because have our first ever guest, we kind of want to set the standard and have a precursor here before we get into anything. So, while we deeply respect the insights shared by our guests, their opinions and beliefs are not necessarily reflective of our own. Our goal at Between State Lines is to foster open conversations and thoughtful dialogue because understanding honestly starts with listening and asking questions. Um, so, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into today's episode. Today, we are talking to a psychic. So, this whole episode is about psychics slash mediums slash what are they slash are they the same thing together. Um, so there is a lot that goes into the term psychic, but they are all rooted in the same basic principle. They possess some supernatural abilities of one kind or another. For some people, they claim to be able to read people's future. I can't speak tonight. For some, they claim to be able to read people's future, particularly through the use of tarot cards. While for others, they can move objects with their minds, or they claim they can. And some others are able to see into the past. A medium, on the other hand, doesn't typically have any of that capability, but rather they claim to be able to speak to the dead, which hence the term medium, which means they meet those who have passed on halfway between their realm and our realm. So this last week, I had the privilege of sitting down with evidential psychic medium Danny, or as she's known on TikTok, Curls the Medium. And that's CURLZ, the Medium, to get a better idea of what psychics and mediums do. Um, you hear the interview, you hear questions asked. I might chime in every now and then, post interview during editing to kind of chime in with my thoughts on things like kind of like footnotes and stuff. But for now, we'll just go ahead and hop into the discussion that Danny and I had. So before we get started, I had a random question about the dead, or more about spirits. So we had a family friend who passed away last year, and on the night that she passed away, my wife dreamt that she came to her and told her that she had died. And my wife is not a believer in anything paranormal, psychics, ghosts, anything like that. She's not a believer in that. So right away, she's a skeptic. But the next morning, when I got the text from my friend who is related to the person that passed away, I just happened to tell my wife in passing, and she kind of was a little shocked. It was like, oh wow, she actually just I dreamed about her last night, and she told me that she had died. So, do you think it's just a coincidence, or is there some kind of psychic ability or spiritual thing going on here?
It's not psychic. It's actually just your given right from being human. You have the right to connect. So they are very good at going to the dream state. That's the easiest place for them to connect with you. So that makes a lot of sense, and it's probably true.
Okay, so it's less my wife is suddenly a psychic or a medium, and more that the spirit of our family friend might have just taken the time to come to her in her dream and kind of like let her know as a final like thing in this world, like, hey, I'm no longer here. I passed away. Um, so as an evidential psychic medium, I think we all want to know how you got your abilities. And I'm going to use the term origin story here. So, what is your origin story? If you were a Marvel superhero, what made you become like what gave you these abilities?
Well, it could probably get written off to quite a few things that have happened in my life, but I don't think it was. I think it's something we all have, and we're all born with it, but we're conditioned to not do this, to think that it's just your imagination, but really it's not. So, but if I had to pick a time that made me wake up to this, there is a story to that, and it happened at a Lita Ford concert while I was drinking and using the bathroom. Is when I had my first psychic vision. Was in a porta potty at a Lita Ford concert.
So, setting aside the whole porta potty thing, what was the vision that you had of?
It was how the woman I had met earlier that evening was actually my significant other's date, and I was interrupting the whole thing. I wasn't supposed to come with. I was supposed to say no, but I actually said yes, I'll go. And then it was so upsetting. I walked 5 miles out of there and got picked up by a state trooper and dropped off at home because I had to get on the highway. I had no other way to get home, so I had to walk onto a highway. And 2 seconds later, there he was. But he drove me home, and then I got home and looked on the computer, and it was all true.
Wow. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, I will say the whole porta potty thing was, a little. That's pretty crazy. You had it in a porta potty, but hey, teach their own. Uh, so how does the whole reading thing work?
Okay. Well, it depends on what kind. If they want mediumship, so they want me to connect with a past loved one, that's using energy that's not from this plane. So I would have to connect with the astral plane, is what it's called. And then if it's a tarot reading or a psychic reading, that's energy that's here and now. So it's a lot easier and it takes a lot less time to do a psychic reading.
So when you're doing these readings and in your live and your people are in your chat, how do you choose? Or I guess you could maybe do readings outside of TikTok, but how do you choose who to do a reading for?
I don't, spirit does. So if I have somebody's loved one come in and go, hey, you're going to talk to this person, I'm like, all right, let's do it. A lot of times I don't know why I choose them. That I just do. And it's usually something important. So
So when you talk to someone's loved one, is that I've seen that before in your lives. When you talk to someone's loved one, how does that work? Do you hear them? Like, do you hear their voice in your head or like out loud, or do the words like come to you like and you just write them down essentially?
um, it's different every time. Sometimes I can hear them clear as day. Sometimes I only know what they want to say or know what they look like. So all of a sudden I'll just know and I don't know why. But a lot of times it's all of them. I can hear them, see them. A lot of times I take on their personality, which is always funny when the person realizes it that I'm reading.
So you seem to be writing a lot. When what I've seen in your lives, I do see you writing down a lot. So are you writing down what the spirits tell you, or what are you writing?
Sometimes I'm just scribbling because it takes anxiety out of my body so I can focus. And then sometimes it is a straight message from your loved one, and a lot of times it's pretty lengthy. So, and it's their words every time. So sometimes.
So have you ever, when you're doing these readings and you're reaching out to someone's loved one, have you ever mistakenly, or maybe not even mistakenly, have you ever like had a demon or a poltergeist hop into uh your live or like kind of tap into your reading?
I actually have it on recording too. It took over my live and it was a demon and more so than a poltergeist. Yeah, the one that took over my live would definitely be a very low vibrational realm. The lowest, probably not, but really close. It'd be like five or sixth layer. I have it on recording. It's freaky. If you have headphones on, you can hear it saying my name. You can hear it. It was creepy. It was mind blowing.
So when that happens, do they go away after the reading ends? Like when you close your session, I'm going to use that term, close your session. Um, when you end that reading, do they go away or do you have to get rid of them on your own?
Go away, but you have to make them go away. And it depends on why they came. A lot of times, like the one that I encountered on the live was a generational demon that was brought to me by somebody in the live. So the only way that she can get rid of it is if she generationally gets rid of it. But I got rid of it out of my area and my phone. I'm like, it had to go. That thing was freaky.
Hey guys, this is post interview editing Holden. Um, I should note here that Danny did send me that video with the audio of um, the demon poltergeist, whatever it was, in her live. And while I did hear something that sounded kind of odd and out of place, it's difficult to pinpoint what it is or where it came from. Um, from the start of the video, there are three people's screens that are visible. Their cameras are visible, and then a fourth person pops into the video feed, and either their camera is off, their blur is on, something. Their face is obscured from what I can tell, at least from how it loaded on my end when I played the video. Um, and that seems to be when the sound started. So, while I can't say for certain it came from that feed, that other person, it's a human sound, I can't I don't I there's no way I can validify. There's no way I can, truly say it was a spirit or a demon or a poltergeist. It is entirely impossible that it was nothing more than a person making those sounds, just based on the timing and technologies involved. I don't know. I'm not saying that, like, I'm not accusing anyone of faking the recording, but I think this would fall in the up in the air column for me, more than like a solid, like a the solid. Yes, this is proof of ghosts or proof of demons or proof of poltergeists. I would just have a big question mark, pending more evidence coming forward. So with that, let's go back to the interview. So, what is your most memorable, the most memorable reading you've ever done?
Oh, well, that's easy. That's actually pinned on the top of my TikTok. Is my favorite mediumship reading because the reaction from these two ladies was hilarious because that's exactly how they acted. They just giggled about everything and it threw me off. I was like, what is so funny? I kept going, what is so funny? So if you ever want to watch that, go check it out. It's funny. It's funny.
Yeah, I think our audience should go to your channel. Um, like that's definitely one of the things that drew me to you is like there's comedy, there's like good vibes are to be had at your on your lives during readings. It's not like you're super serious, like, oh no, we can't joke around here. Aside from like the demon or the poltergeist that you said was as in your live. It seems like there's more like it's good vibes all around and like laughing and like joking around and having just overall, like I said, good vibes is a really big thing about you. So with that, have you ever assisted on a missing persons case?
I actually, me and the mentor, my old mentor, but he costs too much money now, so he's my ex mentor. But we have it set where if we're live and there's a missing persons, and you come in and you say, "Help me, this person's been missing for 3 days," you get precedence. I drop everything I'm doing and help you because time is of the essence in those situations. So I've assisted quite a few. Yeah.
So that's pretty admirable. That's one of the reasons why I wholeheartedly love your content. I mean, you really seem like you're in it to help people And there are a lot of people in your community who, you know, unfortunately seem to just want to make money and not really help people. And so those are the ones that you kind of see like hop into people's DMs. I know Steph got like people messaging her saying, "Hey, I'll give you a reading if you give me a donation." And like, those don't seem genuine, but you on the other hand seem like you're really a genuine person. So to hear that you've actually helped out on missing persons cases, or that you're even willing to, um, whether or not it leads to, someone being found, like the willingness on your end is really um a good thing. Now, as such a strong, bright light in the community, would you say that your outlook on life is more positive or negative given everything you know and have seen?
Mm, much more positive. I actually didn't realize that I was kind of harboring anger because I didn't know what happened after you passed. And when I figured it out, it was very relieving to know that it's not over.
So, before I let you go, um, are there any misconceptions you want to clear up about psychics or just the community in general?
Well, those ones that inbox you for money are actually just scam artists. They're not psychics at all. And then there's a lot of them that give us a really bad rep. But my biggest thing is predicting the future. We cannot predict the future. We can tell you where the energy's heading, but it's fluid. It's up to you. It's everything is changeable. If I had to say something to the public, I would say this. We believe in God too. Okay. So stop coming into my lives and telling me that I'm not of God. I'm not into witchcraft. Okay. I believe in archangels and everything. They like me. So calm down. Okay. At least I think they do.
Well, there you have it, folks. Don't listen to those scam artists on TikTok. Go straight to a real source. Go to Danny's page, find her on TikTok. Like I said earlier, Curls the Medium. Um, yeah, so Danny, I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down and talk and let us ask questions, kind of understand what you do, what being a medium is, what the psychic is. Um, and guys, she's really funny. She's so positive, and her lives are so enjoyable to watch. I cannot say enough how much I recommend watching her stuff, even if you don't believe in anything that she does, or that kind of stuff altogether. Um, I would or follow. I would just go watch her live, and I guarantee you'll at least like be entertained, um, either in the live or through her channel. So, um, thank you so much, Danny. So, guys, that was the interview. Um, now, a few things happened after the interview that I kind of want to touch on. Number one, um, Danny, post interview, she kind of gave me a little crash course into unlocking, according to her, unlocking my psychic abilities. I told her I was a skeptic, and I'm still a skeptic to this day. And she openly invited me to participate in a crash course, like I said, in becoming a psychic. She asked me a few questions, and there was like rapid fire questions um, that had to do with me. And I wasn't allowed to think. I was allowed to had to just fire off answers off my dome. So like boom, 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 quick, no thinking, answer the questions. And I believe, when I recall, we didn't record it. It was post recording. So unfortunately, this is just based on my memory of what happened. Um, she had said that she was going to call forth one of her loved ones who has passed on, and wanted me to kind of like give her information on who that loved one was, not necessarily like names or like who they were, but like things about them. So one of the questions she asked was, "Who is this person to Danny, to her?" And I said, "Your aunt." Um, and then she asked, "What color hair does this person have?" And I said, "Gray." She asked what month is memorable to them, and I said July. And then she asked me what item would she, or maybe what's, I don't know what the exact question was, but it was like, what item is memorable or what thing is memorable to this person? And I said a Hot Wheels car. And according to her, after the questions were asked, I think there's one more that I am forgetting, but we'll just go with the fourth right now. She said that she did have an aunt who passed away. I think it was a great aunt, was what she said. And her great aunt had gray hair when she passed. Hot Wheels was something that they played with when they were over at her house as kids, and July was memorable to them because she believes that is the month that she passed away. So as the skeptic here, I am just going to insert my opinion. So these are hard to kind of say that it's like anything correct. Anything like I got was actually correct because, first of all, we had just been discussing my wife and her. I'll go over this in a second, but she offered to do a compatibility reading for my wife and I, and that requires you to give your name and your date of birth. And I had just given my wife's date of birth, which is in July, and so when she asked the month question, that was on the top of my head was July. The gray hair, I answered because I mean, honestly, I don't know, but I was thinking like death, gray hair, they usually go hand in hand. A lot of people who die of old age are, they have gray hair, so it's just a coincidence there. Aunt, everyone has an aunt if they're, especially if they're my age or older, who is probably passed on, especially if it's great aunt. Great aunt is a little bit more of a stretch, but um, just say it's like it's the same thing as an aunt. Like I have an aunt who passed away 20 years ago, 26 years ago, so that would apply to me too. In the Hot Wheels car, I answered because literally where I'm seated in where I record is in my dining room, and my daughter has Hot Wheels cars all over the floor, and so they're like strewn out when she's done playing, and I don't put it away until I go to bed or before I go to bed. So I was looking at those cars, and I just said Hot Wheels. So nothing like mind blowing there. I just chalk that up to a coincidence. I'd be more to be convinced that psychics are real. I think I would need more evidence in that realm. But exciting news, like I said before, she gave us, my wife and I, a compatibility reading, which I'm going to insert here at the end of the podcast. So I'm going to sign off here, and then you'll hear the live reaction to the compatibility reading. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Hopefully, Steph is back next week. We are talking to the ghost hunter and as well as the TikToker who does a lot of scary stories, Lane. So hopefully Steph is back for that one. If not, you hear my lovely voice again with my guest. And yeah, hope you guys have a great week. All right, so this is take 2 of our attempt to have Emily live react to a compatibility test. That's not a compatibility test. This is a lot. I cannot speak tonight, but added up to here.
You're nervous about my pure beauty.
So this is Danny. Danny gave us a reading of our compatibility based on our life paths and our birthdays. So it's more in depth than astrological signs, apparently. So yeah, there's that. I know the results. Emily does not know the results,
but I am very excited to hear the results of whether or not I should dump my husband, leave him behind, take our daughter and run. But we'll see.
Well, we all know that I will get our daughter in that dispute because I'll blame it on the psychic supernatural world, and the courts will side with me as they have in every supernatural dispute.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
So this is what Danny had to say about our compatibility as a couple. Now, the first few minutes are designated to my life path reading first. Uh, Initially, I didn't know compatibility reading was an option, so yeah. So let's get into it.
So, your life path number 1. So that means you're somebody with strong energy. You have courage, determination, and honesty. And the number 1 is often ahead of their time. Humanity can greatly benefit from you as an innovator and amazing ideas. You walk your path usually alone, and you're led by your inner voice, whether you know it or not. And these people do not tolerate injustice. So you don't like anything that's unjust. When
Okay, so for starters, yes, that is 100% me.
100% you.
I argue with people on Facebook all the time.
He has been kicked out of many of our local groups, from drivers to Costco to I don't even know, weather. I'm sure there's a way for Holden to get kicked out because he's arguing with bigots.
Well, and I also got our podcast a 1-star review because I was arguing with a Trumper on TikTok, and I made the mistake of doing it on my main account and not on a dummy account, and so they obviously the Spotify, the show is linked in my bio, so they found it and rated me down. So yes, all that to say, that is 100% me.
100%.
So
100% Holden.
let's go on.
when other people stand up to fight for things, or when other people sit down and don't fight for things, you'll get up and fight for something that you believe. I can tell you some of your life lessons. So what is it like? Number 1, you need to understand that you're special and your path is different from others, because I feel like that's probably something that you wonder a lot, is why is my path so much different? And it's often a lonely road, but it's vitally important that you listen to your inner voice at those times, because if you don't believe in yourself and your actions, you'll never feel fulfilled. As often with innovators, those around you won't support all your ventures or ideas, so you should be aware that other people don't know what you know. So don't let their opinions drag you down or discourage you. Impulsive decisions can be your failing, as can excessive generosity, overambition.
I'm sorry. Impulsive decisions being your downfall is quite literally Holden to a T. Not so much now. I feel like you've got a lot of your impulsiveness under control. But when we first started dating, you were definitely.
I mean, that is 100% true. And just in case anyone's wondering, this life path that she was reading is specifically based on your name, your full name, and your date of birth. So it's more than just astrological. She takes your name information and puts it into some kind of formula. I don't understand it, but the fact that she got all of this so far is pretty amazing. I'm kind of impressed a little bit.
It's just pretty funny to hear. Because that's 100% you.
Yes.
Impulsive to the T.
That is true. And we go on.
Ambition and attention seeking. So don't steer clear of that stuff. Let me tell you what your expression number is and stuff. There's so much I can tell about you just from these numbers. I can tell you your attitude, your generation, your expression, your personality, your maturity, your soul urge, everything. All right, let's get your compatibility. All right, you're stubborn with firm attitudes and you like to be in charge. somehow you always know best, but you don't like change, and you're constantly on the move because there's always something to be done. You're
That is also 100% my husband. Does not like change and is quite stubborn. Set in his ways.
Yes, that is true. I can't handle change very well. Yeah, like I said, I'm impressed what she's got so far. So we truck on.
gentle and always ready to help. You belong to a generation that's energetic, strong, and stable, and produces leaders and pioneers. Members of this generation are often tiring for others as they're stubborn, pushy, and kind of full of themselves. You like to be accomplished by a strong personality, accompanied by a strong personality, someone who is equal and will follow your pace. Jealousy can rear its ugly head with you if you have doubts about their love for you. Even for a moment, it could cause this. So if that happens, your stubbornness will surface and you'll make a fuss and complain about every.
Now the jealousy thing, I am not really a jealous person.
I wouldn't say you are either.
Yeah.
So I don't really give you
Any
a
opportunity,
reason,
any
to
reason
be
to be
jealous because I just happen to like you. Everybody else can suck it.
But in overall, I've never really been a jealous kind of type. So yeah, I don't know that part. That part I didn't get.
Little thing. So your partner rarely shows their feelings to you. You don't like it when they flirt with other people, or you might act out kind of like really, what's the word I'm looking for? It could be pretty, what's the word? I don't want to say violent. It's not what it is, but it could be a pretty outlandish, thing if you catch them flirting with another individual. But okay, Emily is decisive and firmly grounded. All right, and then 1 and 5. So her life path is 5, yours is 1. This love is filled with fireworks based on infatuation at first sight. You guys don't really know what happened. You just all of a sudden instantly were in love. There's a lot of passion, illusions, and good time together. Unfortunately, the chances are small that this will last and will end in marriage. But since you guys are already married, you've already passed that part. Both of you want freedom and independence. So
Well, none of that is accurate. In that, I mean, I guess we did fall head over heels pretty quickly.
You also, the part about you being a grounded person is pretty much you. You are. She considers me the leaper,
That's true.
and she is the realist. So I think is definitely you are the more grounded person of the two of us.
Yeah, but I don't know. The concept that like we wouldn't have made it to marriage, considering like I knew I was gonna marry you at like 8 or 9 months, which is crazy. Yeah, I mean we've been married now 6 years.
Our anniversary was 2 days ago. And she doesn't even remember how long we've been married. Maybe we weren't meant to last. Maybe this is
Okay, to my benefit, there's a study that says pregnancy turns your brain into mush for a long time after you give
so
birth.
now you're gonna blame our poor delicate daughter.
Not our poor delicate daughter. Your placenta that destroyed my body. I have 0 brain cells right now. Worth it. She's very cute, but like I couldn't say I'm any less committed to you now as I was then. And I love you more than I did then.
we go on.
that you can kind of annoy each other a lot with that. Number 1, So that's you. You won't be able to put up with number five's fluctuations for very long. And number five won't wish to be pulled down by number one. So it's kind of like, yeah, all in all, this is an unstable connection. But in order for it to succeed, Emily would have to please you. So ask yourself whether such a change in behavior is possible. Even though they have different attitudes, they could survive as business partners if the business was related to social activities. So it's not looking good for you guys. I'm sorry.
I wholeheartedly disagree.
Yeah, I definitely don't agree with that reading at all. I mean, I feel like that didn't really match up anything that like.
I will take that you are incredibly stubborn.
Yeah, but my personal reading was like
Was
spot on.
Spot on.
It's me to a T.
But yeah, no. Unless you're like secretly harboring hatred towards me, which he might be because he did not want me to be his podcast host. And also at this point, I would also not like to be his podcast host. Please, Steph, whenever you're ready to come back, please take the mantle back and place it on your wonderful head. And I can go back to snuggling the kitty cats instead. But I would definitely say that more than anything, we're just two peas in a pod. We are the same person, just slightly different. Are incredibly stubborn, and we are very good at having very dramatic arguments. Not very often.
Our arguments are really about the stupidest things too.
Oh,
like I think our
100%.
first argument was about like me not wanting to put face lotion on, and you wanted me to put face lotion on.
And I won that. I mean, it's like eight years later now, but I
though?
did win that. You put lotion on your face now. His argument was back then that he didn't need to put lotion on because his dry skin was actually eczema, and you don't put lotion on eczema.
No, you don't. You put hydrocortisone, which I then ruined my hands with hydrocortisone nonstop. So Emily was right about that.
And our second big fight was arguing about whether or not the existence of Bigfoot, and yeah, that was a very dumb one because I'm like, why are we arguing about something that doesn't exist? And why do you care so much? And why do I care so much? You are incorrect.
No,
we argue, and then we're always fine.
It's also never really. I wouldn't say it's an explosive argument. It's more like
really serious.
It's more like like if you had a political debate with someone you felt passionate about your stance on, and they disagree with you, but respectfully disagree with you. I feel like we still have respect for one another when we don't agree, and that's important.
Yeah, I think arguing in a relationship is also important. I feel like if we were just yes men to each other all day, one, we would get nothing done. It would be a very stupid household we live in. Like, I think we complement each other very well.
I'm a believer, and she is not a believer. Well, we have a standing bet that if any supernatural, cryptid, ghost, anything is proven to be real with either physical or scientific evidence. So if it's a video that science has proven is a real video of said creature or ghost or whatever, then I get box seats to a New England Patriots game. And it has to be done by age 50. So we still have about 16 years to go. So, and if that doesn't happen, then Emily and I have to go on a trip to Prague.
Oh, I have to go on a trip to Prague.
I was making it sound like it was a negative for me.